And I just kind of want to touch on a couple other things before we get into the new album.
Yeah, of course.
You dropped a project called Forever Heartbroke.
Yeah, I forgot to talk about that. Yeah, Forever Heartbroke means a lot to me. That was something that happened really early on. Actually, might have released Forever Heartbroke before 7-1 Forever. I had just graduated high school, and two of my friends that I was really close to growing up, like kind of the first people, like, because in 8th grade I got kicked out of the school I was going to and had to switch to another school in Huntington Beach. And they were like the first ones to kind of like bring me in, you know what I mean? Like let me in their group. And they were troubled kids. They were a little bit badder or worse than the other kids at the school, but that's who I fit in with. So growing up, we kind of like grew apart a little bit because I wasn't down to get in trouble as much and kind of like went the more popular route, I guess you could say. But I always was close with them. They're always my boys. I would do anything I could for them. But yeah, one day I was in the studio and I hadn't seen them in a couple months, and I got this phone call from this chick I was talking to at the time, and they had both burned and died in a car accident on the street right by where we like grew up at. And yeah, right then and there I was just like, whoa, like I have to say something, do something, you know. So Valentine's Day was coming up. Me and that girl that I was talking to were going through it. We had just split up basically, and that's where Forever Heartbroke came from. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna be forever heartbroke. I've been through so much stuff. And yeah, so we dropped it on Valentine's Day. I believe it was only like 4 or 5 records, and the fans ate it up. They loved it. So every Valentine's Day now I drop Forever Heartbroke, and whatever is going on in my life or whatever the bad stuff, you know, I let it out on there.
Well, you talk about on that project, it deals with depression.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you feel like you deal with clinical depression, or is it just the kind of depression that most people deal with?
I think, I don't know. I wouldn't know what to categorize each. I think depression is just depression. Maybe clinical is like, I feel like I need pills or something else to help me with it. Maybe is
Yeah.
that what you mean?
Well, like for example, I just interviewed Wi-Fi's funeral,
Uh-huh.
right? And his new project's called Everything Sucks, and we talked about that. And he goes, "Well, it may seem like I have a lot of fans and whatever else, but I still deal with being depressed every day
Oh yeah,
and so
100%.
forth." And he uses the drugs to try to deal with that,
Yeah.
that feeling that just doesn't go away. And he said that even as a little kid, he's always been sad.
Yeah.
And he just thought that's just the way everyone is. But it's a little bit deeper than that.
I've always had this thing since I was like young as hell. Like anybody in my family can co-sign this. I would always be sad. I never went to therapy for it. Like never got my head checked out for it or no nothing. But I would just always be sad. And I thought like growing up, it's just like, you're a kid. You don't really understand like why you have certain emotions, da da da. But predominantly from like 8 to like now, I remember myself like being sad like every day. So when I heard Ready to Die and I heard all this shit that he was saying, I was like, I feel him. I want to do that. Like I feel the exact same way. But thank God I didn't do that. And we here.
I think for me it was more my fake smile and my happiness, being happy almost like tricked me out of everything that also is I should be depressed about. I should be a lot more depressed than I should be. But I guess I was just, my grandpa and the people that raised me gave me a good mindset to where like I can't fall back and let depression be the excuse. I got to use it as like my energy, my ammunition to keep going, you know? So it's kind of always fueled me, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't depressed, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just blessed now. So like the blessings tend to outweigh the depression, you know? And like it's not all the time, you know what I mean? Everyone has their days, you know what I mean? That moment, that one thing that reminds you of this, or you think about that and it just takes you in that place. But it's just knowing how to deal with it, I feel like. And I feel like when I was younger, I would go to like lean and different stuff like that, you know what I mean? To just feel numb, not want to feel anything. But just like after doing that for so long and just like growing older and like just reflecting on like what I want to be, who I don't want to be, it's like that's not what I'm trying to do. That's what my parents did, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it was important to like break out of that and just be able to deal with anything I got to deal with on my own surface level, whether it's just weed, talking to friends, or having some drinks or whatever. It is what it is, but I don't like to think of myself as like clinically depressed. I have a lot of stuff to be sad about, but like somehow turn it into a positive, you know? I talk about depression and a lot of crazy things in my music, but somehow I make it a way to make people happy. Like, even though what I'm talking about might be sad, when you're listening to it, you feel happy, or you feel inspired, or you feel like I'm helping you get through it. And that's the feedback I've gotten from my fans, which I also think that, like, built that such close bond and relationship, is like, I've really been there for people in their darkest times without even being there, just by my music. You know what I mean? So that truly, to me, is like one of the biggest blessings, because I just get to, like, constantly remind myself, like, people got it way worse. You know what I mean? I could be sad about all this stuff, but then again, I get to open my eyes. I get to do this stuff every day. It's just a mindset, what you make of it. You know what I mean? I could be sad about label situations, not having enough likes, fans, any of that other stuff. But, like, I don't want to get caught up in any of that stuff, because I already have way bigger things I should be depressed about. Why would I be worried about that when, you know what I mean? I got millions. I don't even want to talk about it all, but, like, there's millions of things that go on still to this day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you just got to deal with it.
Well, growing up seeing your parents on drugs
Yeah.
made you not want to do drugs yourself.
Yeah, I actually made, like, a promise to myself that I wouldn't do any of the drugs. And then, like, right before my grandpa died, I found out he smoked weed. So I was like, all right, for sure, like, I'll just smoke weed. And, like, drinking alcohol isn't really like a drug, you know? So after my grandpa passed, that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna try weed. Started smoking weed. All right, I drink a little bit, you know? That's like 6th, 7th grade, you know what I'm saying? So those things kind of came to me young, but that was always like, this is it. I don't need nothing more. I'm not gonna do nothing else. So still to this day, I haven't done coke or Molly or any of, like, those crazy party drugs that people be doing. Once I was 21, I decided, okay, I'll experiment with natural stuff. And I tried shrooms for my first time, acid for my first time.
Yeah.
That was cool. It was worth to try to open your mind or whatever, but, like, I don't like being, like, what do you call it? Have something else being in control of me. I like being in control of myself, so.
Well, you also tried lean.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. I had a huge problem with that. And that was, like, my wake-up call. Once I, like, was on it so bad, and I had so many people reaching out to me about it, and then, like, I got sick and got, like, withdrawals from it. And that's when I was like, oh, word, like, I'm just the same as my parents right now. Like, this is...
Yeah, because you can't really say, I don't do drugs, I just do lean.
No,
like,
no,
that's not a fair statement. Because
that
basically...
that didn't come till later, too, because when I first started as a kid, I didn't know what it was. You know what I'm saying? And once I found out what it was, I was like, whoa.
It's heroin.
Yeah, liquid heroin, basically.
It's liquid heroin. It is what it is. You could try to paint it a different color,
it's
but it's still
Xanax,
liquid
all the
heroin.
other stuff.
If you go and take some heroin and get tested, and you go drink some lean and get tested, it'll come out as the same result.
Yeah.
You see, and man, we've lost a lot of people from lean. I was with Pimp C a couple of weeks before he died.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea how cool and fun this guy was in person, and boom, out of nowhere.
Yeah, no.
Dead.
Happens all the time,
Yeah,
too.
I'm friends with Bun B. Like, you know, we talk about this. Like, you know, DJ Screw, who changed the whole landscape in Southern music, you know, died from lean. I mean, Fredo Santana, it seems like his medical complications were related. You know, he had, like, liver failure.
Yeah,
That's usually like a lean
whether
thing.
even it be directly from the lean, it's like what it does to your body and what it does to you will eventually kill you.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't get you right then when you're on it. So,
Absolutely. And it's expensive on top of that.
Extremely
So a lot of times you got to do some shit that you don't necessarily want to do. Were you doing any kind of sideways shit in order to keep that lean habit going?
Not really, bro. Selling weed.
Okay.
That's not too sideways. I was making
not
money
really.
from the music.
So you
When I
never
really got bad, like, and for me, bro, like, in Orange County, like, it was really easy to get. You got people busting scripts, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So your friends would just be like, oh, yeah, I got a pint. Just be like, want to pour up? You don't got to pay for it, you know?
I mean, did you have any problems with the law, anything along the way, or not so much?
I got a DUI when I was just turned 19, I believe, in my hometown. And that was a wake-up call to me because I wasn't drunk, barely even high, didn't have weed in my car. They pulled me over because they said I ran a red light when I didn't. And they told me my car was stolen, all this crazy stuff, right? And then just to find out, one of the cops was like, oh, we know who you are. Like, my kid listens to your music. And Hour later, getting my car searched. Another hour later of them doing tests and all this, they just cuffed me like, you're under arrest for DUI. I'm like, how? Like, what are you talking about? Like,
And it was for drinking?
no, it was for weed. I didn't even have weed on me, nothing. They said I smelled like weed and my eyes were red. They just knew who I was, right? So like they just knew. They booked me. They're like, oh, we got him. They took my blood at the station. When they took my blood, they said, all right, you're out of here 2 hours. You'll be fine. Everything's good. Then like I get this thing in the mail saying like, oh, your blood levels are like 20 times higher over the regular limit of people who smoke weed in Colorado or something like that. And I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? So I pay hella money for a lawyer. And just for him to tell me basically like, bro, look, we could bring specialists in and like tell them how you started smoking super young and how you smoke all these blunts a day and this, that, and the other thing, how your tolerance is crazy and how even if you didn't smoke for a month, you still have that high of a level of whatever in your blood. But it's just going to come down to me sitting there and they're going to play the video that I got signed for to the label, Smoke and Drive with Black Bear. And the jury's going to say, you know what? He's guilty. He smokes and drives. He's got a song about it and he's smoking, driving in the video. So that's when I was like, okay, I got to be careful. I wasn't necessarily even driving under the influence, but they popped me for it. It's like, it was like my first time of feeling like I fell victim to the system without being able to do anything about it. Like, it was weird.
Yeah, I mean, people give me a hard time over the questions I ask in my interviews, but while they're doing songs that are 100 times more, more exposing.
Yeah.
And then they think that doesn't somehow hold up in court. Like,
it's wild.
Like I remember when I interviewed Boosie, he talked about during his murder trial, they spent a whole day playing his songs to the jury. Saying, oh, he's talking about killing someone here. He's talking about guns here. He's talking about like boom, boom. Yeah. Like, it's that serious. Some guy just got convicted for like a triple homicide because the music matched up to
the actual story.
Like,
that's
the story
wild.
goes on and on and on. I mean, Tekashi's music was played all through court. Like,
yeah.
Everything.
Gotta
like,
be careful when you
if you're, I always say like, if you're a criminal, you should not be doing anything music wise related to your crimes
and
at
I guess
all.
I always thought like as a kid, I thought like the ones who would actually be doing that stuff wouldn't be the ones talking about it. So I guess for me, it became like when I would listen to stuff like that, it's almost like, oh, they're just saying that. They don't actually do that, and then you find out some of them do, and then it's like, yo, what are you thinking? Like, that's crazy.
And then you got the Slim Jesus of the world that,
The hood?
that's Slim Jesus. Remember
What's
him?
that?
It was that white kid from the Midwest who had all these songs him with guns and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I think I might remember.
We did this interview which ended up getting like, I don't know, like 10 million views that said.
Oh, you did an interview with him?
Yeah, his
That's
first
awesome.
interview where he basically said, I don't do none of this stuff. I just like it.
Oh, of course.
And I'm lying about all this throughout all my music. And he was the first one to really come forward and say that.
That's.
And it went viral. It was interesting because he's this little Caillou looking blonde.
I think I know who you're talking, like super skinny, right?
Super skinny.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.